In today's movie, a rescue spaceship gets a distress signal from a mysterious source. This smells like Event Horizon, the movie we already covered. The setup is the first 15 minutes, but then it takes a different direction. We follow a medical ship named Nightingale 229 in deep space in the 22nd century. The ship's computer technician, Benjamin Sotomayor, wakes up to a voice of an AI he created. Its name is Sweetie, but I'll refer to it as she because of her female voice. Anyway, Benjamin is blown away when Sweetie asks him to play chess. That makes him think that his computer friend is evolving and getting close to the human level because she has needs. At the same time, medical technician Yerzy and rescue paramedic Danica are enjoying some 18-plus activities. That's the main thing about them. They are like a pair of rabbits and use every chance to do some unholy acts. The ship's captain and pilot, A.J. Marley, is doing some Tom and Jerry recap and chillin' like a boss. Anyway, Medical Officer Kayla is doing a checkup on co-pilot Nick, who is ex-military and an ex-drug addict. There, Nick finds out that Kayla hates drugs, especially a specific one named Hazen, the same drug to which Nick was addicted. Plus, Kayla's ex-wife was addicted to, and that ruined her life. Nick throws a few roasts at the crew's robot, which is dressed in a World War II uniform. But honestly, the robot got drip, and I'll call him Doug. Nick then tells Kayla that he thinks he won't fit in with the ship's crew, but Kayla assures him that he will, and she gives him a lecture about the crew's history. Soon, the crew receives an emergency distress signal coming from an ice mining operation on the distant rogue moon Titan 37, more than 3,000 light-years away. Kayla finds out that her ex, a drug addict, Carl Larson, issued the distress warning. The crew commences a rescue operation and heads to hibernation chambers. After the jump, the crew finds out that the captain became the Thing due to the equipment malfunction. I would personally put some ice on him, but Kayla doesn't share my medical views, so put him out of his misery. And Nick gets a promotion to captain. So the ship gets into the path of Titan 37's debris cloud, and that damages it and causes the loss of 82% of its maneuvering fuel. But things get even worse. Titan 37 orbits the rogue moon, and its high-gravity field will pull the ship to the point where it will be incinerated in 17 hours and 12 minutes, which happens to be almost the same amount of time the Nightingale 229 will need to recharge its jump drive, their only possible hope for escape. Suddenly, they receive a signal from an escape vessel that is heading straight toward them from the rogue moon. They get ready to perform their saving duty. As the vessel arrives, they find just one guy in there. Kayla thinks it's Carl, but soon she finds out it's just some random guy. She and Danica perform a full checkup on him and find out that he is in a perfect state. However, they also discover that his skeleton has some weird growth on it. I'm sure it's nothing alarming. Kalea tells Danica to keep an eye on the patient and leaves. The guy soon wakes up and immediately starts flirting with Danica, and she starts falling for him. Nick and Kayla interrogate the guy and find out that he is Carl's son. Carl Jr. tells him that he was scavenging some fuel with his friends. However, they pulled the sneaky one and left him alone on the rogue moon to rot. Nick then gets an idea to go to the moon and get some fuel so they can leave this place. But he is suspicious of Carl Jr., so he orders Yerzy to check his vessel. Yerzy sees Danica chatting with Carl Jr., but he assumes that it's nothing serious. He carries on his job, and in Carl's vessel, he finds a weird purple object. He informs Nick about his finding, and then decides that it is a good idea to touch an unknown object from the rogue moon that is located thousands of light-years away. This thing can be anything, like some pod with an alien organism, deadly bacteria, or an object that can bring mass destruction. Yerzy then proceeds to touch the object inappropriately, acting like it's some otherworldly erotic experience. Sadly, He stops just as Nick arrives. Nick gathers everyone around the object and persuades Carl Jr. to tell the truth. He and his friends arrived on the moon and found an empty mining base. That enraged the others, so they left, and Carl Jr. stayed because he had a feeling that something could be there. After some time of looking, he found the weird object frozen in ice. Carl Jr. adds that the object is of alien origin, and they can sell it for a nice amount of money. He promises every crew member 5% of the cut. But Nick refuses his deal on behalf of everyone because the object can be anything. So he tells the crew that he will go to the moon to get some fuel. And after he returns, they will head back and throw the object somewhere into space. Carl Jr. tries to convince him once again to keep the object, but Kaela reveals to everyone that he has a weird growth on his skeleton. Carl Jr. tells him that he had that from birth, but no one trusts him. Nick then ventures to the rogue moon to get fuel for the ship. Carl Jr. approaches Danica, seduces her, and convinces her that she really wants to have his child. At the same time, Yerzy is having the time of his life with the artifact, while Kaela is conducting research on it. Ultimately, she finds out that the object contains 9-dimensional matter that can destroy the universe and create a new one. After that, she and Danica decide to examine Yerzy, because he spent a lot of time alone with the artifact. They discover that the artifact made him younger and stronger. Nick investigates the abandoned mine and finds a bunch of dead bodies, but no fuel. Suddenly, he hears Carl Jr., who tells him that he should take this offer, and now he will have to kill him. Carl Jr. hacks into the mine's security system and programs it to kill Nick, who gives his best to stay alive and escape. After he finishes with his villain speech, Carl Jr. sees Danica behind him. She informs him that she heard everything, so Carl Jr. ejects her straight into space. Then he finds Yerzy near the artifact, and the two of them have a brawl. However, we find out that Carl Jr. came into contact with the 9-dimensional matter after recovering the artifact. It somehow enabled him to acquire super strength and supernatural healing abilities. Poor Yerzy can't do anything against him, and Carl Jr. kills him with his special finisher. Then he decides to be poetic, so he ejects Yerzy into space so he can keep Danica company. Carl Jr. then finds Kaela, and it's time for a main plot twist. Carl Jr. is not a junior, it's just Carl. But the artifact made him younger. Mind-blowing and totally unpredictable. I know. Kaela's reunion with her abusive drug addict ex is cut short as Benjamin shows up to save her. Carl is not scared, and then asks, and I quote, "What you gonna do? Shoot me?" I don't know, but those are famous words of many people who got shot. Naturally, Benjamin obliges and blasts him, and runs away with Kaela. At the same time, Carl evolves and loses his eyebrows. Benjamin takes a gun and goes to finish Carl off. He locates Carl with Sweetie's help and shoots him in the head. But Carl is now invincible, and he starts tossing Benjamin around. Benjamin locks Carl and tells Sweetie to release him into space. But the AI replies that she can't do that because she can't harm humans. Benjamin then tries to convince her by telling her that he loves her and that she is more than just a machine. But Carl manages to break the glass and kill him. Carl attempts to romantically reconcile with Kaela, but it's not his lucky day, as she refuses him. Then he sees Nick coming back to the ship like an absolute Chad with a rescue pod he found in a mine. Kaela uses that chance to stab Carl's eye and escape. Carl recovers and gears up for a final showdown with Nick. He quickly goes to the cargo bay and fires at Nick. But it's just a suit. The real Nick then shows up, and the brutal fight begins. Carl has strength, but Nick has the brains. So he manages to cut off Carl's arm and locks him up, buying enough time to escape with Kaela. The ship now magically has fuel, so Nick commences to dimension jump. Carl hears that, and he starts looking for the artifact. He roams around the ship and soon sees Nick carrying the artifact to throw it away. Carl goes after him, and as he catches up, he discovers that Doug is holding the artifact, not Nick. As you can guess, it's a trap. Brave Doug then sacrifices himself. As a matter of fact, Kaela is controlling Doug, but still, he is one brave robot. Anyway, the explosion kills Carl once and for all and ejects the artifact into space, hurling it toward the blue giant. With moments left before the dimension jump activates, Kaela and Nick get ready to place themselves into the only remaining dimensional stabilization chamber that Carr left for himself. They know it's not safe to be there together, as the chamber is designed for one person only, but it's not like they have a choice. Sweetie then warns them that the nine-dimensional matter is reacting with the gravity of the rogue moon, and it will cause a nine-dimensional reaction that will spread in all directions, such that the reaction's resulting supernova will reach Earth within 51 years. Sweetie's computer hypothesizes that the reaction will destroy life on Earth, or enable humankind to achieve a new level of existence. At the last moment, the ship engages in a dimensional jump, which brings Nick and Kaela back to Earth's solar system. However, as a result of having shared the same pod, their genetics got mixed together, and the two of them each have one eye of the other person's original eye color. Sweetie then informs them that Kaela is pregnant. She doesn't specify why and how, but it is probably because they were in the same pod. Nick and Kaela hug each other tightly, and the movie ends. If you enjoyed this movie recap, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want to see more of these, subscribe to the channel and check out our other videos.